Alright, so as you can recall from last class, or last week rather, we had a bit of car type programming we were doing where we were creating class objects and calling upon them as cars, which in the end allowed us to make different versions of cars and this and that, and we could go back and we could work on that some more and add some goodies there, just to give rise to the new stuff. I think it would be good if we worked off the old stuff, but I do think you might need a little bit of review, so I'm gonna just bust through a couple of these cars here and make some instances of car objects. Remember that when we are dealing with class objects, we need another file here. So create file, and yes, we can reuse that name, add file, car.js, and then we can do car, car class, class car, excuse me. And then within which we can then populate a constructor of sorts. For now, we'll just do that. Constructor. Remember, the constructor is like a blueprint for your object. And you use these property name values like this, dot, etc., etc. In our case, perhaps it's this dot color, and this dot x for location, that will equal x, and this dot y equals y, and then this dot speed equals 0, this dot is convertible equals false. I like to throw that in there. This dot doors equals 3, and this dot width equals 40. Might be wise to go ahead and define some of this stuff. So as you can see, these are still blue, which means they need some definition. Constructor, we could say C color equals white. And that would just be a way of identifying a sort of color property, of course, to be used at some point in time. X equals width. So now the X is defined. It has turned white. What about the Y? So Y equals height. We'll divide these by 2 just so that we have a little bit of a central thing going on there. The color needs a bit more as well. So let's just use what we've defined. Color. There you go. Done. And maybe you make that purple at some point. Who knows? Just roll with it. Now we are going to utilize a new situation eventually. A new situation meaning like a new sort of method type. So we'll use a start method type in our class script. We'll use a display, which isn't new to you, but it's a thing. And we'll use move, which again isn't new to you. Now the newer one that I think will be the most impactful for you is called isInside. So that one you're going to utilize as a method to decipher if your mouse is inside of something, inside of a rectangle, or in other words, a car, right? We'll get back into that once we know that this object is going to pop up on our screen here, or rather our canvas. So let's work on the sketch a little bit, and we'll go from there. What is this all about? So as a review, default parameter values in class constructor and or methods car .js. Link it in the index.html. Don't forget. I just want to put that in there because I think it's easy to forget all that. So let's do that now while we're at it. We'll go into here. We'll select all of these goodies. Control C, Control V. We'll call this car. There we are. Save our work. We are working in magical sugar apparently. That's fine and dandy. I would definitely rename that if I were you, but I'll keep mine as is because it's a demo. Additionally, I want this program to have a key press option to start those cars and move them. A hover over car to change color, and click on purple car to circle it. So some fun interaction, and yes, we are going to store some instances with globals and classes. Let's make those objects happen. So let's go ahead and call those global storage units let car 1, let car 2, let car 3. We'll go into the setup, function setup, ellipse mode for our circular goodies corner. I want to just make a new instance for each class. So new instances. We'll say car1 equals new car. Remember, we're referencing the car.js script. The class within the car.js script has that capital C going on, so just keep that in mind. We're going to call this bad boy the purple car, so purple. And one hundo with a 50. So once we have that established, let's just go ahead and see what's going on. So if I go over here to console.log, we can then debug to see what the heck is going on. Car1 question mark, comma, car1, just to see what's going on. Should have one little thing in there. There we go. We got our X at 100, Y at 50. Color is purple. So what's going on here? This is actually talking with the constructor's parameters. If we look at the constructor in car.js, the class car constructor, you have your C color, which was redefined to purple in the sketch. The X and the Y were also redefined in the sketch. But by default, this is the default value for those parameters. Just so you know, there you go. So let's play around with the car1 instance a little bit further here. All right, say let roof equal car1.is convertible. That'll just help us out when it comes to seeing if something is convertible or not, based on the class as well. So that'll be a thing. So console.log. Let's look and see if it has a roof or not. And we do know the answer because we have it in our class, but good to, you know, check things out. Gotta put a quotation in there because it's messing things up. There we go. And I'll press play. false for the is convertible. It's definitely not convertible per the class. You could always change that though, right? Let's check if something is moving. What is the car speed? So console.log car1 moving question mark 200, 190. Actually, that comes later on. I want to do a car1, excuse me, speed and car1. So I get a little bit more than just the speed there. I'll get a bunch of stuff. The speed is 0, of course. We already know that. All this extra good stuff is what it's doing at this moment, which means it's still purple because it's a new type of object, not the default anymore. And you can move along and you could do more cars. So if you wanted to do car 2, for example, you could say car 2 equals new car. And there you are. You can repeat that process for car 3 equals new car. Within which maybe we change the color. So sky blue, perhaps. 200 and 190, so that's actually what I want, where I wanted to put that prior when I made that mistake. Could do 200, 200, I mean, why not, right? 195 maybe, if you want to get creative. And within the function draw, I don't really want the basic background. I'd rather have something like brown. That's nice. Now we're getting to the point where we need to draw things out, and in the draw, that means that we need to display something. So we have to go back into class and make a display method. So let's go about that. We'll go back into the class car.js script. Let's make that display method here. But first, let's do a little start action. I think the start action is going to be our friend overall when it comes to adjusting speed and such. So let's do that. Speed. So now we're referring back to speed, right? Within which this dot speed equals speed. Simple as that. So whatever we put within here, that will define it. Yeah. Now we have to display something. So display, we'll bring in those parentheses and curly brackets. We'll give it a different fill, right? So this dot color for our cars. Definitely important. Should there be something within, maybe it's a rectangle, right? Yeah, we can keep it basic and just throw a 20 in there, that's fine. As for move, which is another thing that I want to address here, move is, going to help us out with speed and such. So this dot x plus equals this dot speed. That's saying this dot x equals this dot x plus this dot speed. So wherever it is located to begin with, add speed value. Unless this dot x is less than this dot width. And up top, and that'll, so that means that else needs to be present. So let's do that. And we need an if statement, so let's do that. If this dot x greater than width, Oops. We have our lovely curly brackets here. This dot x equals minus equals actually no. This dot x equals and then minus negative this dot width. Yeah, that's how I want to run it. It's going to be strange, but that's how I want to do it. And we have our little comment here we can make, which is need to wrap, and check boundaries. So, and then for the else statement, so now we're getting around to that. The else statement can say else if, actually, and we'll do this dot x less than that negative this dot width. Do this thing. So I want to do this thing. And let's bring that up top because that's where it belongs. Right above the else if will be that statement. There we go. Put something else there later. Do this. This dot x equals width. Remember, all these demos are here for you. I know it gets a little bit complex and things get a little wild and messy. But we're making it happen, and that's why we review and kind of coagulate the knowledge, right? I kind of come back to things in the beginning of the week, then I, give you something new towards the middle and end. Moving on here, back into the sketch. Underneath background, I have to display things, so display the cars in particular. How do you do that? Car1 dot display car2 dot display car3 dot display, and there you are. One of them's right on top of the other. Not a big deal. We'll check it out and let's give ourselves some room though. If mouse is pressed. So we're going to utilize that to create an if statement that allows us to nest another if statement. Car1 dot is inside. And we haven't written this method out yet in the class, but we will get around to it. We'll make it a no fill. Alright, actually I want to capitalize that. Ellipse, because remember we want to be able to interact and press over something here. Car1.x, car1.y, car1.width, and your 30. It might also be fun to create some collision factors. So what happens if car 2 is intersecting with car 3? Which it actually kind of is right now. Is car 2 intersecting with car 3? Question mark. Draw rect. If so, what happens? Well, if by chance that car is inside of car 3, then if we'd make an if statement that says car 3 dot is inside, so we're reusing that little method there, which we have not created yet, so keep that in mind. Car 2 dot x, car 2, whoops, 2 dot y, and we'll go over here, bring that down a bit. We'll say no fill again. And we'll do a rect. You could do anything with this, right? With this sort of collision type interaction. You could do fireworks. You could do, you can really use your imagination and make something cool, 10 and car3 dot y minus 10 and 60, 40. So essentially making a sort of move there, right? And we have written out that move method if I am if I stand correct here. So let's go ahead or if I recall properly, let's go ahead and actually adjust for that. So we'll make a little section of car1.move with the parentheses. Then we'll do a car2.move. Oops. Parentheses. Oh my goodness gracious. And a car3.move, parentheses, there we are. And we can end our draw there. We don't actually need to worry about that anymore. Draw is done. Let's make a key press function as our sort of final sketch, well, sort of final sketch portion. Do a little start there, randomize it. Where things going to start speed, so to speak. So their start speed could be between -3 and 3 for car 1. For car 2.start, we could have a simple 2. No need to get too random all the time, I know it's a lovely life to live, but sometimes you got to be a little bit more judicious with things. Interesting. I did not put the random portion in. There we are. Good on that. Now, we need to make the function that holds this. This is one thing that we forgot. So let's make sure we do that. Function key pressed. And we'll do parentheses, a little curly bracketeering there. Bing. Save your work. Always save your work. It's a beautiful thing. You never know when you're going to lose it. All right. Got some work to do here. We still need to adjust for the is inside stuff. So we are looking for it, but we just don't have that method quite yet. So let's go back to car.js. And let's dig into that a little bit. We'll scroll up here to our start speed. And the place that that is best to put it would most likely be the if inside, or if, put an if statement inside of display, because things are going to kind of populate, right? So we want to make sure that that's a thing. Before we adjust any sort of fill or make any activity, we need an if statement essentially. So if, and it's very simple. This dot is inside. Do this. Fill. And let's say yellow. Method still does not exist though, so you have to actually go and grab the method from, well, a new method that you create. You have to make a new method for it. So you go down here, go below move, and you can actually just say is inside. I mean, that's how you start it out. Is inside x equals mouse x, y equals mouse y, and then give yourself some curly brackets. So there are some parameters involved here. With a little local variable, we can adjust things a bit easier. It's going to apply to all cars. So inside equals. taking that local variable and then utilizing the x to create a greater than equal to this dot x. So using that x property there in the constructor, and a logical and right after that. And remember, I do have some terminology sheet that could help you out with some of these operators that might kind of whiz by you in the demo. Feel free to ask questions when I arrive back as well. Below that, I want to also perform a couple other ones. So we might as well actually just back it up there. We'll keep that equal inside equals local variable floating on top of this stuff. So let's go ahead and bring this down and tidy our code a little bit. So here we can put our another x for the less than equal to this dot x, the plus or addition operator, and then this dot with logical and again. So let's put two of those ampersands in there, and we'll dig in over here to the y section and do a greater than equal to this dot y, logical and y less than equal to this dot y plus 20. And basically this says, like, don't color me unless all of this and this and this is true, right? It's literally just looking around for things and making sure everything is valid and true before anything happens inside. All right. So that just about sums up all of that, and it should actually also communicate, well, I mean, that's what it's supposed to do, is communicate with the is inside sort of method in the sketch as well. Just press play here, let's see what happens. That seemed to work. So we have, it has sort of outlined where a collision has happened with the cars. So it did indeed work. It has been triggered, so that's good. Nice little test for you there. Good. And then we're going to, let's go ahead and go back to the class here. I want to just ensure that we have the proper values for speed and just move in general. Sort of important to ensure in order to actually have things move. So within the speed section, we have speed here, and this is literally kind of relating to itself in many ways. Let's go into the sketch, and we'll dig into what needs to be done. So there's your if statement for is inside. New cars are instanced. The objects are instanced. The inside or is inside goodies are most definitely applied right here, so that's good. The key pressed is what we haven't done quite yet here. So I'm right here. I've pressed play. Everything seems to be functioning. They have intersected, but nobody's actually moved yet. So I think the question is what key is pressed, and it doesn't matter in this case. So notice how now the cars are moving. We have the outline literally outlining that blue car, which is stagnant. It's not moving, but it's colliding with the other car. And when I click on that purple car, I get that ellipse that we talked about and programmed. So it's working. Go over this some more with yourself. I mean, this is something that it's not going to be easy to kind of memorize all this stuff. You really have to use it, right? And I'm all about the foundations here. I want to make sure that you dig this into yourself. Use any means necessary, whether it is visual, audible, whatever it is that helps you learn. I want you to pursue that and help yourself digest this stuff. Figure out how you learn. That's literally the main way to succeed in any of these courses, is just figure out how you learn, and you'll get through it. And take everybody has their own individual way of learning, and it takes time, right? So don't push yourself too much. Let it fall into place, but do push yourself enough, right? So we'll save our work and we'll go on to the next one here. This one's kind of fun. There are fish involved, which, we love a good fish. It is not Friday, so the fish fries are out of the question, but we're going to make some fish anyways. What is this one all about? So I want to add some cell names and some item names. Perhaps we can use constants and get some instances going with class objects and the like. Fish, cell. I don't know. I'm just like naming off things that we could use here. We are going to use that preload function that we utilized for those images last week. So let's do that again. Set that up. There we are. And up above here, let's make those constants. We'll just say G cells, and we're gonna make an array out of that with the brackets, right? The square brackets. We'll do it again with fish. We'll call it fishies, and an array with the square brackets. We'll index for us there. And then I want to do a for loop in preload. I know it's kind of strange, right? But this is going to allow us to really utilize something in advance, if that makes any sense. So if we were to put this inside of the array, then we can utilize it to populate a certain number of things. So that's what we're getting at here. So if we go into the preload and say for, and then we initialize with let I equal 0, semicolon, I less than 4, semicolon, and then I plus plus, just to remember incrementing by 1, right? That's what that's all about. We'll press enter again. And now I want to just define what is to happen within that. And the thing that will happen is fishies.length. Remember, the length is different than the index. So let's make that fishies. And we'll actually just put within the fishies array fishies.length. We'll get that number, which at the moment should be 0. New fish. And yes, we need a class for that one, so let's do that. Remember, going in, if you're in VS Code, you would just create a new file there and a new .js file. In my case, I'm going to do the same here in the web editor here, and I'm just going to say fishy.js. There we are. Fish, class, and fish. And we will call that curly brackets there. constructor shall call from our preload to load image. I don't have a media file either, so I should go get an image of a fish. That's probably wise, right? Otherwise this won't actually work. So constructor, give yourself those parentheses and the curly brackets, and let's give some property, right? This dot size equals random between 50 comma and 270, right? That's fine. This dot image equals load image, because you got to do that first. Within which we could say media, because we are going to make a media folder, and just fish.jpg should suffice. Let's go find our fish here. Oh wow, look at that guy. Jeez. This is hilarious. I feel like this should be it, but we're... That guy's wild. Gotta love a nice puffer though. Save the image, JPEG. Fishy with 2 Y's. Put it in the 101 folder. Thank you very much. Fishy. Remember the name must be there. Media. Upload a file. Fishy. Drag it in. Cool. We also need to add, remember you have to add that class to the index.html, so Control C, Control V. And we'll say fishy. Back into the sketch here. And we'll go ahead and load up on what we need. So one thing that might be wise is to just do a little console.log at the moment before we enter the setup area. Yeah, so that'll be right after the for loop, console.log, and we'll say fishies, press play, and we'll see what happens here. Doesn't like that, so we'll just have to make sure that everything is good. Fishes and fishes. Make sure I have everything in the brackets. Preload seems okay. Go in here and make sure that I have everything I want for... I mean, it could be that I just need to define a little bit more here. Oh, well this is... Oh, no wonder this is wrong. Oh no, this is right. Fishy.jpg. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. In the media folder. And I have fishy here, so that's fishy.js, so that should be fine. Interesting. Must have just done something here. Yeah, okay. Oh, I didn't see. This is what happens. So don't try to figure out things on your own. This is a good example of that. Just sometimes sometimes the console is right. It's basically what the moral of the story is. So yeah, we'll go back to the class and we'll just load image. Save your work. Always save your work, you know what I mean? Play it out, see what happens. Nada. Not a thing. Nothing happens. Nothing at all. Alright. So what we need to do is go in and make some more goodies. Press play, nothing happens. Fishes, fishes, console.log fishes. Nothing's happening. Cool. All good. Don't worry about it. Update length. Yeah, it should be about 4. A little bit strange that I don't have. Should have something written here. It's a little weird. Did something wrong. I don't know what it is completely, but I did something wrong. Well, let's just work on the class object some more. It could be something with that, honestly. Cool. So we have our image in there. That's great. Let's make another little property here. So this dot color equals color, and we'll randomize it to 200 and 255. And then within this, we'll say random 255 random. Oh, don't want to do that. Make another random 255. I know it's crazy. Lots of randoms going on. And then a random between 20 and, let's say, 50. I'm happy with that in regards to that constructor there. I want to make a new method that's just called write size. And here I will create some curly brackets. We'll do a this.x equals random, and we'll do a width minus this dot size, this dot y as well, which should equal the height. So it would be a random, similar setup, right? But just with height, random and height minus this dot size divided by 2. So a little bit of a change there, but yeah. Cool. And we might do some resizing. Remember, there is an actual method for resizing, which is kind of cool. But let's do this right in here. So we'll just say something like this dot image dot resize, and we would likely have to make an actual method for this. And then this dot size 0. Cool. That will allow for the resizing, and we can move forward. Let's also display some stuff. So we'll do that display method with the parentheses, curly brackets included, tint this dot color. Alright, and let's randomize that tint, or rather it already should be, hence the random color insanity over here. And then we'll use image again because we need to call upon it. And that's part of the reason why we were having some problems with that, I think, the console and such. But yeah, right below your tint, and it should be this dot tint, not just tint, right? No, I can use, yeah, I can use just tint there. That's right. And I can use just image as well. So this dot image, we're displaying things. This dot x, this dot y. Things get very tiring at the end of the day. Apologies for my my labored breathing. Just kidding. Move with the parentheses. Woohoo! Yeah, you called it. We're gonna need some curly brackets in there. Thank you very much. I'm gonna rename this to that. I'm gonna rename this to that. Just because it's not really great to have a capitalized script. Alright, well, let's go to the sketch now, see where we're at here. So we have our preload done. Our setup is, for whatever reason, I'm having trouble, getting this going here. It's probably for a good reason. Fishies. I think it's everything. Syntax is good. I might just be. Where is the new fishies thing? Oh, here it is. New fish. Yeah. But I didn't do a. One thing I didn't do is make a like. Well, no, I'm defining it here. So fishies.length. Yeah. Never mind. Cool. So what we will do, we're now going to go into the setup here, function setup, and I'm going to make myself some room so I can actually breathe in this crazy script environment. Well, let's put some text size in. We'll play with text a little bit with that G cell stuff. Let's say 30. We're going to create a sort of local constant as well. So const my array equals a little bit of that. And we're going to do those strings again, if you recall. So let's do that. Item 0. Oh, look at that. Okay, never mind. Hold on. Item 1. Item 2. And all the way down the chain. Control C. Control V. Control V. And 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Item 9. Could add another one, but not exactly necessary. And that is all, folks. There you are. I'd like to draw all these items in my array. I'm going to utilize a for loop for this. So for let I equal 0, and then I for the condition less than my array. Yeah, my array dot length. Yes, that's what I want. There we go. And then how are we gonna do that? We're gonna increment one at a time here. Plus plus. Give it some curly brackets. Within that statement, we will say my array I equals, and I want to use this guy. There we go. Let's give our text some character, literally. To do that, we would go ahead and create some kind of fill of sorts. And then like maybe yellow or tan or whatever the heck you want to do. I'm actually gonna do tan because I need one of those, you know. I need a tan. I need a tan, man. Text. What is the text? The text is my array I. And what's going on with the placement and all that good stuff? We'll say 20 and 40 plus I times, oh my goodness, times 31. The end of the day is getting to me here. Looks like I didn't even put I in there. It's a mess. It's a mess over here in this office. It's a mess. Oh my goodness, look at that. Oh my gosh. Okay. A little bit random with the 31, but it's all right. We're getting through it here. Cool. Let's make another one. I want to make another for loop. I'm just gonna really rack down on all this stuff here. Now, what's happening here? Why is there an issue? Okay, it looks like I've just forgot the I in this spot, which is good. At the moment, nothing's going on, so... furthermore, and down the chain here, looks like I have my array all set. I have my array is good to go, but I do want to start doing these sort of text cells. So let's go ahead and make a little constructor, a little class here for that. We'll create a file. We'll call this cell.js. There's going to be another class and cell. Give it a little bracket curly there, constructor. And within that, we'll give some parameters, a little name, a little x, right? All good. A little curly bracket again, and some properties. This dot x equals x, calling upon that parameter up there. All right. And then you have your this dot name equals name, calling upon the parameter once again, defining, initializing, etc. We'll give it a display method because otherwise it can't display. It is indeed a a text thing. So, and I want it on the canvas. So text this dot name. Ooh, this dot x, and then y. And that's it, right? We're gonna display all that good stuff. We do need to add it to the index.html, however, otherwise it will not function properly. So go ahead and call it your cell.js. Back in the sketch here, we can now do a little bit more of the fancy stuff and make this actually function and do cool stuff, populate things, etc. So right after the my array I and 20, 40 plus I times 31 craziness, right after that, go on down below your for loop there and just say for let I, once again, equals 0. A little semicolon there, I less than 10, semicolon, I plus plus. Give yourself the curly brackets and G cells I, right? So what's going on here? So G cells, defining G cells at the moment. G cells dot length equals something new. What is new? The new cell. And go ahead and put some params in there, some new ones of course. Cell plus I. Not equals, but plus I. And there we have it. There's our other for loop. Console.log. What is it going to give us? G cells. Will it give us anything? G cells not defined. Okay. That's because I have a capital there, so let's fix that. Press play. Whoops, another one. Cool. Nothing quite yet, right? All good. Assign locations and sizes to the fishies. That's our next move here. Right below the console.log, assign locations and sizes for the fish. Do a little for loop again, and we'll just initialize. Let I equal 0. And I less than fishies dot length, right? I plus plus, and then what's it going to do? I think the statement should do fishies array inside of the array. Put the I because we want it to populate with in accordance with the length, right? You don't want it to go beyond the length. And then dot right size, so just sort of resize image, right? Remember when we did that? All right. I know it's a complicated one actually. Lots to do on this one, that's for sure. Console.log and fishies. I want to make sure that that variable or constant I made is correct. I don't know why it's not really working for me here. Probably just because I have nothing to populate yet. Yeah, let's actually let's get rid of that, and nothing's gonna populate. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that populates. Cool. Not the fish though. And I do want right after all of this setup stuff, in order to get the fish to display and the other G cell stuff to display, we do need to do that in draw. So let's just make sure that that happens. We'll go to for loop again. Say let I equal 0, I less than, and in this case I'm also kind of in this way I'm kind of showing you like, you know, what worked and what doesn't, right? So actually let me stop playing that role. I'm gonna give you the knowledge here. So literally, you know, kind of like right here, right? If we put this into draw, it's gonna display something. But you also have to tell it to display, right? So let's do that. So we'll just do the whole thing here. Let I equal 0, semicolon I less than G cells dot length. And yes, we do have to change that to a capital C because that's the way it is. Semicolon I plus plus. Increment one at a time. Give me those curly brackets and G cells array I, and then dot display. Within that 40 and plus I, multiply that by 31. We're going to reuse that weird thing, the weird math that we made in the my array section. And at this point, you know, really it should just kind of display some goodies. There it is. Cells 0 through 9, good to go. Off to the races. Beautiful. Now let's make our other fish stuff. So display fish items. For loop. Let I equal 0, semicolon, and I less than fishies, semicolon. Oh wait, no, dot length, excuse me, because remember we're working with the length here. And then I'm going to assume I++, yes. And then after that we'll do a little statement to figure out what's going to display, what's it going to do, you know what I mean. Fishies I dot display. Thank you very much. Alright, what are the fish? What are the fish? Ooh. 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 Lots of fishies. Lots of fishies. We love the puffer fish. Puffer puff. Puffer fishies. Okay, good. Continuing on. Onward. What if I want interaction? Well, you're going to have to make a new function. Homie function mouse clicked with the parenthesize, curly brackets, edit the names of every item in G cells. How are we going to do that? Well, luckily we're dealing with arrays. We can do that. Yeah. For loop, let I equal 0, I less than, G cells, yeah, you called it, dot length, I++, boop. But we gotta give it something to do. What's it gonna do? G cells, boink, I dot name. Remember when we made that that little name property thingamajigger? Well, now we are using it. And when you use an asterisk in here, you get something funky happening. Well, what's it gonna do? It's gonna edit the name. It's gonna edit the name. We didn't really tell it to do much though, so it has the ability to do it though, but only when you tell it, which means you gotta click the mouse, silly. There it is. Hey! Alright, good. Save your, I guess this one's called Cake Abstract. And let's move forward. It's getting late. Let's move forward. It is now 1 hour. That was a big one. Oof, holy macaroni. We are getting going.